today, Dave?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
Super. And for us in Florida, it's a little bit, well, it's actually freezing out. The new freezing is, what is it, 70 degrees? What is it today?
Yeah, as soon as my wife goes below 70, she puts the heat on. So I think it was like 64 degrees, you know?
Right. Right. Now, my chickens are very happy because they have plenty of feathers and they're running around, and the dogs are really happy and spry, and we had a great day yesterday outdoors with the veterans and first responders who received PTSD dogs and the professional handlers and trainers. And thank you for Tony Brazil. She has Haas Brazil German Shepherds in this area. So we have a really great community of being outdoors. And by the way, did you go boating this weekend in the cold, fishing? What did you do? You're a very outdoors person.
No, I'm outdoors. I stayed in this weekend. So this weekend was putting up the Christmas lights weekend. So the wife had me outside putting up Christmas lights and, you know, all those fun things that go along with the holidays.
Well, I'm the one in the family that does ours. And if you ever drive by my property, it looks exactly like what I'm paying attention to real estate and good lighting so that I look nice and presentable and young like you. So all of my lighting is hooked, thrown up. It's like, that's how I decorated when I was a little kid. Somebody would put tinsel in my hands and I'd just throw it up there because for me, that's how I like to decorate. So I'm not necessarily nitpicking, but I have 2 trees up. They're in front of the house, and I got a special outdoor Sonos Bluetooth speaker, and I'm cranking Burl Ives throughout the whole day.
Nice.
Everything Bing Crosby, everything Burl Ives.
I love it. You're into the spirit as well. You're all into it.
Right, short of getting a snow machine. And I know they exist here in Florida, right?
Right.
Has anybody got a snow machine going on? I haven't checked that out.
I don't know, you know, with the COVID and things, there's so many things. Bradenton used to do it. You know, I think Lakewood Ranch had done it in the past, but I don't know this year what's going on. I haven't been keeping up to date with all the activities.
Well, they do have carriage rides out at University Town Center in Benderson Park. And a shout out to our friends in Sarasota and Manatee County that had a lot of closings this week. In Sarasota, we had 360 closings. In Manatee County, 271. And here, you're gonna have the fun news. In Sarasota County, the high sales price. Oh, by the way, we had 227 single family homes. And Dave and I always talk about how the new construction single family homes don't get on the MLS because they're so busy. And for any buyer who's buying in this part of the country, in Sarasota and Manatee County, we have a lot of choices, but the builders are not going to put those choices on MLS because to be on our MLS, you have to have a specific piece of land, specific square footage, and a specific price. So guess what? If you haven't worked with a top realtor like myself and determine what square footage, what sort of land do you want to be on, what amenities in a neighborhood with a CDD or not a CDD, we can't help you. And the builder loves it when you walk in by yourself. That's like going to court without an attorney. In doing the due diligence up front when you're working with a top agent like myself or getting pre-qualified with Dave, we're going to go over that information because there's in every neighborhood a cost for maintaining that property. Sometimes they do it for you, sometimes you do it yourself, but it's always within a couple of dollars. It's a give and take. Do you want the homeowners association to do everything for you, or can you do it? And then it's a matter of your lifestyle when you want to move in. What do you want from that builder? The top builders in this area are offering some amazing things. And oddly enough, the high price this week, very well, and I don't pull up the condo high price for new construction. It very well could be there. I'm just going to talk about single family homes, but the high price, shout out to Michael Moulton. He had this home on the market for, I think it was 510 days. And it was 403 days to closing. And wow. you and I both know Michael's out on Longboat. He's been around. Right. He's one of those people when you see him, he still looks 20 years old. And, you know, he probably has shoes that are older than that because the man just is timeless, He's really good about doing his business. I think he started out, well, he's just been here a long time. He's a super good guy, really involved with Rotary in the community. And the reason why I shout that out is because when you have long days on the market and long days under contract, it's not a big deal for those of us who've been here for a long while, because we know at this price point, he had it on the market for $19 million. Right, so Michael did close in the last 7 days. I think this is the high number that you and I have spoken about. So we take our last high number. Dave, how, it's a smidge higher than that. How, if you want to give a guess, this is, I'll give you the address, 845 Longboat Club Road. And the home was 35,000 square feet.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I would say 18.3 million. Almost 16.5. Wow. Wow.
Right, 16.5. That's the gross national product of some small countries out there. Well, if you want to move here and have your neighbors who are people who own businesses around the world, and whether it's private or publicly traded, they want to live here for good reason. We have a lot of elbow room, don't we, Dave?
Well, we do, and I think about you all the time talking about jobs, and I saw Senator Rick Scott on TV today, and what he was saying is in Florida, you know, Goldman Sachs is thinking about moving their New York headquarters to Florida, and they were saying with the new norm, everyone working remotely, Florida has no state income tax, and we have great weather, as everybody knows, but we also crime is down 49%. So when you look around the country at people defunding the police and, you know, what do you get where you live? People are moving here left and right, but so are the jobs. We know people are coming here 1,000 per day, but here come the jobs. So there's more and more jobs. We're going to run out of office space soon, he was saying. So these companies are making a mad dash, but we say that because jobs supports low interest rates. It also supports our vibrant housing economy because you need jobs to pay for the mortgage. So good stuff. You've been talking about that since we started the podcast in these real numbers. And I think that's why you're seeing 631 sales in 1 week in Sarasota, Bradenton, if you add them together, right? That means 631 closings. That's where somebody got keys and moved in. It's pretty amazing, right?
Right, and not just keys, right? Now they're moved in time for Christmas. What an exciting time. Everyone held off to the day of closing. And then, of course, now they've got Christmas, they've got New Year's, their kids are enjoying that yard. We got plenty of space, no matter where you and I are in either one of the counties. We're within a 15-minute drive of watching some of the most beautiful sunsets any place on earth. This time of year, right? Some of the most.
The sunsets are to die for. I just looked at one the other night. It had a beautiful, like, little reddish haze to it. The oranges and yellows mixed in. Pretty amazing. And then we talk about the schools. Florida is known for great education system, public education system, but Sarasota's top in Florida, right? So not only is Florida good, but our West Coast where we live, and you mentioned Pineview, I mean, people are coming here for the jobs and also the great education. I get excited about it where I get all bubbly because I grew up in Sarasota. So you see all these changes, and then with you having a thumb right on the pulse of the market and knowing all these different builders and square footages and, you know, where to get the best piece of land. Those are all great things that people need to reach out to you so you could help them too.
Yes, and speaking of a great piece of land, you and I have got plenty of people that we're working with this week that are underwriting with VA loans. If we can get them a USDA loan, we will. And you got to know that folks want land, they want the elbow room, they're here working, they want a place for their kids to ride their bike around their own personal property. We had the low price in Sarasota, $110,000. Thank you, Realtor, who put Handyman special so that, you know, they weren't going to bother somebody who wanted the deal of the day and move right in, because we know with those words. And it was on the market 9 days. So if anybody's out there and they're thinking about selling their property and you don't want days on the market, no showings, no staging, no fixing. We're just going to determine an aftermarket value for those fixes on cashoffersflorida.com or the cashmove.com. my company has resources everywhere in the United States and no convenience fees. So the first thing I do is give you disclosures, and you'll get to read all about that. That moving on, and that's why I always talk about days on market. These handyman specials, that's right in the wheelhouse of why go through 9 days on the market to hear everyone's going to tell you it needs work. Well, duh.
But I think your biggest thing, Sandra, with your resources, and I think all the new innovations with the drone photography, virtual showings, people working remote, some more real estate closings should happen quicker. We're also doing mobile notary closings, which is expediting some of the closings as well. So I think, I bring that up because a lot of people are hesitant to put their home on the market because they need to sell before they can buy. But what they need to know when they call you, we talk about these resources, like some of the ones that you have, we can usually coordinate a simultaneous close because it's not taking months and months to sell property, like you just said. It's taking sometimes a matter of days, even hours. So if they get with you, we can lay out a plan where you can list their home on the market and get them one of those cash offers. But then together with myself, we can get them into their next home simultaneously, which eliminates a lot of the stress. Because I think that's a lot of things holding people back, not listing property, because they don't know how hot the market really is.
Oh, and talk about stress. Your job and mine is taking on that ability to not respond or react to someone else's stress and keep it on target. There's lots of things that are messing up closing. During the inspection period, if you go into the retail market, guess what we have in Florida? Termites. Yes. Okay.
Two types of termites.
Right.
Subterranean termites and the flying ones.
Right, and I started in northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, years ago, and with those grandma realtors who were my mentors would be like, honey, if you're not gonna have termites right now on an inspection, you'll get them. There's trees, look out. So the other thing that inspectors say to me when we're in a home that's been on the market, this is why we're so diligent about roofs. Guess what these inspectors say is the state bird of Florida?
I don't know.
Rats.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Oh
okay.
my goodness, yuck. But you have all these trees and you have all this water and you have all this fruit and a plentiful source of them to hang out. The number one thing we're inspecting in the first place, if there's a problem with that roof and there's a place for when those vermin to get in. And some companies now have a special vermin disclosure.
Wow.
Because in Florida, pests, the definition of pest does not include vermin. But yuck, 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 who wants vermin? So when we're going to go to that next step and put it on the market, all of my sellers have a pre-listing inspection, and that's the first thing. I've got my ready to run shoes on if the inspector comes out and tells me we've got that problem. And then we just have to make the next call to do something about that. So the other part of a market moving so fast, if a buyer gets scared off by something like that, and they should, it's creepy and scary and just part of our environment. Well, if you're not prepared to go through that, buyers will just go on. They'll drop and go on. And our contracts have an as-is inspection period of time. So we want to do whatever we can if it's on the open market to supply easy access to that information, because these buyers are moving here for jobs, aren't they, Dave?
Well, they really are. And you're such a professional. So much goes in, and it can be overwhelming when you're just looking at the black and white. If you haven't done it as many years as you, but you can guide them. There's usually a solution to the varmint problem. They have ways to eliminate that. And also, like you said, find the place they're getting in, seal that up so they can't get back in. So they usually trap them. But yeah, you need to know. I love the pre-listing inspection. I just think that is so smart, because as a buyer going in, it just puts my mind at ease, doesn't it? Knowing everything's okay with the house.
Full disclosure, and that's real estate 101. We have so many licensees in this marketplace that maybe only do 1 or 2 transactions a year. Anything that professionals like us who've been around for a long time, me, I haven't been around as long as Michael, but we're looking to make it easy for everyone to come together based on the time and the price point. And the high price point in Manatee County this week was only $1.9 million. It was out in Lakewood Ranch, and it was on Catamaran Circle.
Okay.
And The problem in Florida is we're surrounded by Gulf and Atlantic. Not a problem for Dave and I because we're boaters, we're outdoors people. But in our MLS, you can put waterfront like this home was, and people are going to look at that like waterfront. That's $1.9 million. Dave and Sandra have been talking about $3, $5, $19 million. Well, this is a lake. And for some reason, our Florida MLS has a data point and they haven't discriminated against lake and the Gulf of Mexico, which is the #1 reason why people are looking at this part of the country. Like when I grew up in Iowa, I was always dreaming, I'm gonna live near the ocean or I'm gonna live near a mountain. So if somebody said waterfront property, I would have gone right to it and found just another lake like I had in Iowa.
Right, right.
This beautiful home is on a beautiful lake, but $1.9 million is not a home price that you're ever going to see on the Gulf of Mexico or on the intercoastal, because a 6,000 square foot home built in 2005, spectacular home. The low price in Manatee County was $150,000. My favorite new, it's not new to me, but I have buyers in this marketplace that have bought land. They're going to, Moulton Buildings is one of the few barn builders in the United States that make a hurricane standard barn. And
Wow.
I believe it's approved for sure in Sarasota County and Manatee County. This is literally a barn. It doesn't have enough disclosure for me to see if it was a Moulton built barn, but it has like 900 square foot living space and 53,000 square feet of barns for your tractor, for your this. You can't fill it full of chickens and sheep. Right? And I gotta clarify that for any of my folks who have barns that size filled with chickens and llamas out in Colorado, which I have a personal friend out in Colorado with llamas. Have fun, let's get a llama. Then she found out what it was like to clean up llama poop. Right, I don't want to clean another barn. I grew up doing that. So this person might have it full of tractors and trucks at 3820 36th Avenue East in Palmetto. 53,000 square feet. That is a dream come true for any of the builders who have family or workers who live in this area that have been here for 4, 5, or 6, or 10 years. They have big trucks. You and I see them up and down the road, don't we?
We do. They're out there. They're definitely out there. So exciting to see. So I was just reminiscing. We talk about everything being relative, but when we started, I used to sell a lot of real estate, and the first time home buy price was 109 or 150,000. Those were the norms. Kensington Park, Sarasota Springs, right? And now that's the low price, and our average price is 300,000. That you were saying 290 to 300,000 last week, but which is still a great value, right, for everything that you get with all the amenities in our area, right, with the weather and the boating and the golf courses, the culture and the museums. So there's so much to do here in Sarasota, Bradenton. And then people, like you said, with barns, 53,000 square foot. That's a lot of square footage.
Wow, and it's on a huge property. But back to what you and I are talking about, the value points, the increase in value in the last 12 months, has jumped 5.78% in Sarasota County. In the last 12 months in Manatee County, 5.51%. We are absorbing, like we're giving you the data. The average, the median price point in Sarasota County was $293,000, and in Manatee County, $294,000. So of course, we're talking about $60 million sales and $100,000 sales. Median is looking at, some of those, when you look up that word, that threshold of that activity, that absorption. And so we're keeping a fine eye on that. So we haven't topped out over 300. You and I now can start reporting that we're seeing increased absorption, increased price points, but we're not seeing a really heavy push past that median price point, which tells us about those jobs in the area, doesn't it?
Well, it tells us the jobs are there, but it's also a natural supply and demand. So it's gradually going up, which is nice, right? It's not a straight, a straight horizontal, vertical up. So it's not like we're seeing 20% appreciation in 1 year, but naturally we're just going up 5.7%, 6%. That's a nice clip. So in 4 years, where is your house going to be? and it's all relative. But if you look at, getting in today at these historically low rates, at these low prices, right, you're going to make money in 4 or 5 years. So that when you want to buy your next home, right, you can take some of that equity, right, the value as the property goes up and you pay it down, that's called equity. You get to pull that out and use that. And a lot of people I hear first-time buyers, how are people putting down so much money? Because they bought a home 4 years ago. They bought a home 5 years ago. Now they're taking advantage of the market. But I was thinking about this right away, and I kind of get on a tangent. But you mentioned your cash offer program. There's a lot of people that call you. You almost have like your own little black book, which makes you different. So you have a list of sellers. Maybe they're not on the market yet. They just started to engage you. They're talking about it. So a lot of people are looking at Zillow and Realtor.com, but you have your own database. So when buyers call you and they tell you what you're looking for, you may have somebody that's not on the market, an off-market deal, and that happens to you all the time, where you can say, you know what, I got just the property for you, right? And that's what kind of, after doing it so many years, kind of gives you that competitive advantage over a newer agent. Like you said, maybe they do 1 or 2 deals a year, you do 100, so that black book that you have, that really helps people, I think.
It does. And any new agent out there who wants to be involved with anything that I've got going on, please just click and call and get a hold of me, because I have so much going on that I'd love to bring more and more people into the fold of having a fun, successful real estate career, which is ultimately, we're helping buyers and sellers not be stressed out, give them straight answers up front. We're answering straight answers with straight questions with straight answers. And yes, the normal mayhem that happens in a real estate transaction, we're able to handle that. I'd love to, share that with anybody I possibly can. And hopefully some of the talking points that you've hit, even if I don't have a personal relationship with that mortgage agent or that realtor ever, if they're watching this, they realize, okay, here's Sandra and Dave, they're, emulating, okay, we got rats, let's get rid of it.
Right.
So, it takes a lot to stay calm in the face of ridiculous stuff that happens in real estate, but there are certain things that are predictable based on insurance, inspection, the jobs in the area, the people that we're working with, having them pre-qualified. And it all starts with a good relationship, knowing money and motivation, doesn't it, Dave?
Money and motivation is the biggest thing, and you mentioned, and I like to say, we're like pilots, and we're driving the plane. We may hit some turbulence, termites, rats, something pops up on the inspection, but we're going to land the plane with the least amount of stress as possible and get you to the destination. And you can see that you love it. You're smiling. We talked about Christmas to start the podcast off, but just think of all the people we've helped to get to go get that Christmas tree. They're going to spend their first Christmas in their new home, and that's why we do what we do, right?
Right. And people want to get a hold of you. What's the best telephone number for them to use for you, Dave?
Best number is 941-724-7653, 941-724-7653. Call or text anytime.
Excellent. I appreciate you. Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you next week. Have a great
Merry Christmas, Sandra.
Good job.